and get to the rim. And he's really been impressive to me, getting to the rim, inviting contact, and finishing through contact. And he will have to do that at the next level. But he will also find that teams will adjust to him and lay off of him if he doesn't knock down that shot with consistency. And so, that'll be something that he'll notice if it's not going in when they're playing in the regular season. His ability to and his the willingness of the defender to crowd him, and then his ability to get by that defender, it's going to be harder for him. So again, all adjustments that he can make and things that can play out over a long period of time. But what Thibs has been very encouraged about, and what he told us about last night, was that both of these guys really bring a defensive mentality and a willingness to defend and to get on the floor and make hustle plays, and they're workers. They've been workers in practice. They've kind of come with what Thibs describes as a serious mindset, and there's really no greater compliment in the Thibs lexicon than being serious minded. And so as far as initial first impressions go, they're good ones.
If you go to sodastick.com and type "You Betcha" into the promo code, you will get free shipping on any order from sodastick.com. Check out their website, sodastick.com or sodastickco.com. Obviously, we are interested in selling some basketball stuff for that organization, which is a local sports-related apparel company that has been a lot of fun to partner up with. But sometimes they put out some cool stuff related to another sport. We want to tell you about that. Right now, sodastick.com is partnering up with Parisi Hockey to recreate J.P. Parisi's old shooting school shirt. They're donating 11% of their sales to Backing the Blue Line. Every shirt purchased will help give back to that great cause. And it is exactly the kind of shirt I can see a Minnesota hockey fan wanting to wear. Of course, they have all the other cool stuff. They have the Paul Bunyan stuff. They have the Herbeck pulling Ron Gant off first base. They have the Moss Moon. They have the Timberwolves related T-shirts, hats. They have the Summer Beer Dabbler in their pop-up shop. They have Darby's Pub and Grill pregame stuff with Jack Morris apparel. They have a lot of cool stuff. I would check out sodastick.com for both their events, their apparel, and again, type "You Betcha" into the promo code and you will get free shipping on any size order. What did Thibs have to say, John?
It was an interesting little session. We talked about Okogie and Base Shop and kind of what they brought to the table early. We also, did discuss that, hey, LeBron James is now in the Western Conference. And one of the kind of messages that Thibs has kind of relayed to us over the course of the last month or so has been that the Western Conference is not for the faint of heart. And that was even before LeBron went to the Lakers. And it just shows kind of the remarkable challenge that is in front of the Wolves and really everyone out West going forward here. I mean, now the Lakers have to be looked at as a playoff team with LeBron on it, even though I think some of their roster is still a work in progress. I think they're a playoff team, and they weren't a year before. I mean, Denver's getting better. Dallas is getting better. These teams that weren't playoff teams have made big strides. And so, the Wolves, for sneaking in as an 8 seed last year, are going to have their work cut out for them. So we talked about that. We also had a kind of an interesting kind of go back and forth quickly about, the Sun Times story that kind of lit the world on fire last week about Jimmy Butler and his, discontent with Cat and all of those things. And so, again, another kind of sign that this Wolves offseason has been anything but quiet, and there are constantly things that are coming up that are being asked about and being talked about and needing to be addressed.
So last year, it was very obvious that when Jimmy said something publicly about younger players not giving their all or not caring enough about winning, playing defense, it was easy to link that to Wiggins. Did we overlook the fact that it might have been sometimes pointed as much at Cat, or do you think it really was mostly pointed at Wiggins with a little bit toward Cat?
Yeah, no, I do think that it has been a frustration with both of them. I think that the difference is, I think in terms of his frustration, the way that I read it as of now, and really that I've read it for most of the season, was that he lumped them together in terms of the way that he views they prepare for games, whether it's not watching enough video or not kind of preparing themselves mentally for some of their assignments and things like that, and not having a mastery of that end of things to his liking to this point. But then when you get to the game, I think the frustration for him is more on Wiggins, because Jimmy believes that Andrew Wiggins is the most talented player on the team, just physically, in terms of being athletically gifted, in terms of being able to overwhelm opponents with all of the tools that he has from a physical standpoint, and he just doesn't bring the effort enough in Jimmy's eyes on a night in and night out basis. And so that's what frustrates him about Wiggins in game. I think with Cat, there's never a question about his effort, about how much he cares about the game, about how much he wants to be a great player in this league and be viewed as a player who helps a team become a winner. It's just like he hasn't been maybe as dialed in always, or he's still mastering the nuances of defensive positioning, of the importance of setting good screens, of all of these little nuances that bring to the table. He's obviously incredibly productive and incredibly consistent from an offensive standpoint, night in and night out. So there are different things that irk Jimmy about the two of them, but it's certainly getting to a point where there needs to be a quieting of this narrative of Jimmy being upset with the kids. I mean, even if he is, and he does have certainly grounds to be upset with them, in certain aspects of it, and some of his complaints have merit, enough of this getting public. I mean, he tried to kind of confront them publicly through the media several times during the season, and clearly it's not worked. It's not had the effect that he had hoped it would. So I think at some point he's got to come to the realization that these are his teammates, and if he wants to challenge them privately and push them and prod them and poke them, that's one thing. But I don't think it's being received well from either of them that this stuff continually does find its way into the media. And I mean, everyone knows, Joe Colley's a good reporter, and he is tied in with Thibs and Jimmy, and everyone knows that. And so when he writes a story that is heavily slanted toward that end of things, everyone knows where it's coming from, and that creates problems. And so sooner or later, somebody in the Wolves organization has to sit everybody down at the table and say, hey, look, let's figure this out, and let's not have all of this keep coming out time and time again in the media and in the whispers in Las Vegas and between scouts and coaches and executives that that this team is hanging on by a thread, because it's not doing anybody any good.
And given what you know and your reporting, do you think that Thibs would be of a mind to ask Jimmy to back off, or do you think Jimmy is doing Thibs' bidding?
Well, see, that it's a great question. So far from what we've seen from Tom, he has not been the guy who wants to really deal with the sort of drama that kind of is floating around all sorts of NBA teams. He likes to just really concentrate on the work and on getting better and practice and things like that. And I don't know that he really has shown much of an interest in in combating narratives and really worrying too much about a lot of those things. He kind of sees that as just nonsense, and some of it is nonsense, but some of it can turn into problematic situations. I don't think so far that I don't get the sense that Jimmy is sort of speaking for Thibs in terms of relaying his frustration. Does Thibs want Andrew to be more locked in on a nightly basis? Yeah, I think that's the truth. Does Thibs get frustrated when Cap misses a rotation defensively or doesn't set a hard screen or doesn't do one or two of these things? Yeah, I think so, but I think that's just a natural coach wanting more out of his players. I think so far the impression that I get is Jimmy is the one who is kind of more having a more difficult time accepting that, hey, these guys are young and I have to figure out a way to bring them with me and get them to improve at a faster pace, and that frustration boils over and then it spills out. And so Jimmy's made it clear he wants to win, and he wants to win right now, and so I think that he's not one to say, hey Jimmy, these guys are 22, 23 years old. They need to figure some things out. It might take a little while. He wants to get going right now, and when that's not happening, then he lets people know about it.
So Saturday in Champlin, 11:30, Ryan Shaver from KARE 11 and Jordan Taylor, the former Benilde player who went and played at Wisconsin, has been playing overseas, are going to do their show. That's 11:30 at Tony Hoaglund's office in Champlin. And then at 12:30, I'm going to do the Viking show with Tim Yoder, the Viking Update show. Also check out the Shaver and Taylor show if you get a chance on talknorth.com. That is going to be at 11351 Aquila, Aquila Drive North, number 104 in Champlin, Minnesota. That's 55316. If you get a chance, come by. We'll have some giveaways. We'll be talking sports. Tony can tell you about his business. That, as I always tell you, myself and Michael Russo, we get our insurance through Tony and State Farm. And also just check out Tony in general, Hoglund.
Hey, Minnesota sports fans. This is your local State Farm agent, Tony Hoaglund. I need you all to ask yourselves this question. If you're in an at-fault car accident and you are sued for $700,000, how much of that $700,000 will my current insurance company pay? If you are unsure or can't answer all $700,000, you need to give us a call. State Farm has been number one in car insurance since World War II and number one in homeowners insurance since 1964. For a no-obligation review of your current policies, call us at 763-421-4900 or check out our website at www.champlininsurance.com.
I got Twitter questions unless you have something else about Vegas and the week out there that you'd like to get to.
No, that's good. Let's go right to the questions.
From Zach Kaysen, John, were you hinting the other day that KG could become a minority owner?
No, I wasn't. It's funny. I was on with Barrero for my normal spot on KFan on Monday evenings, and we were just going back and forth a little bit, and Dan kind of asked me cheekily, like, so what kind of big scoops are you working on out there? You got some big stuff in the hopper? And I said, I thought the sarcasm was dripping pretty thickly that, lots of huge scoops out here right now. Make sure you're subscribed to The Athletic. Make sure you're watching closely because a lot of good chance over the next 4 or 5 days for some big things to happen. And it was very much playful and kind of joking about sort of the always the manic push for news and things like that in events like this, and people put it onto Twitter, and it really turned into a kind of little firestorm. I had people in the Timberwolves organization asking me what am I going to be reporting? What do you know? And I'm just like, guys, I was just joking. Like, if something happens out here and if I report it, it will be news to me just like it is to you guys. So I think people are a little bit on edge maybe with all of the drama that's been kind of surrounding this team. And but don't worry, guys. Take a deep breath. Right now, I don't know of anything major that's coming down the pike. But if something does happen,